Test. Is that good?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. I'm Kevin. I'm a second-year student at Emily Carr right now. I'm studying communication design. I'm 20 years old, and I've been doing graphic design and music for about 7 years now. The two really go hand in hand, I've found, because I have a huge passion for album covers, and so that's kind of how that all started. I have a huge passion for music, I always have, and I feel like the visual side of that is just as important to me, so that's where graphic design comes in. I started music and graphic design 7 years ago, around the same time, because when I started making music, I was like, oh, I gotta make the album cover for this. So I started like playing around in Photoshop. I didn't know what I was doing. At the time I was in a graphics 9 class. It was just like learning the basics of Photoshop. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try out what I learned. And so I made album covers for myself. Me and my friend Andrew, we were making music together, so like that's all I did graphic design wise, was just making album covers for stuff that I was gonna release. And then that kind of turned into me making album covers for other people, and that's like a lot of what I do now. So the main thing that inspired me when I first started was just, I remember being mesmerized by a lot of album covers when I was just listening to music. A few I can pinpoint is Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon 2, Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Childish Gambino Because the Internet. I just remember those being like really striking to me, just seeing that, and I've become like obsessed with the art of making album covers. But just seeing those covers made me have that feeling of, I want to do this. I want to give people the same feeling that I got when I saw these. And so that's like, I think that's the big thing that initially got me started. The way I feel when I design or when I make music, it's never one like exact feeling. I think it's usually a mix of things, and that's like good and bad, because when you design and when you're coming up with ideas, it's never gonna go seamless. Like there will always be times when you can't come up with ideas, and when you feel like ideas you were excited about weren't working and everything. So there's definitely stress involved in that, and I think stress does eventually push you to get to the point that you need to be. But then there's also those times when you're designing or making music where everything's going really well and you're feeling inspired and excited about everything you're making. So I think those moments are the ones I like to remember and hold on to, because like that's kind of what keeps me going. That's what makes me want to keep creating, because it's exciting, and just that feeling of knowing you're inspired and you're driven to make something. My favorite designs that I've done is a single cover I did for this rapper KB. This was late 2018. It's called Die Rich. The main idea for this cover was to have a skull dripping in gold. I got yellow paint from a store on my way back from school because I had to get it done like literally that night. And so I got my friends to help me out. We taped a stick to the skull and then held the skull in place while my friend poured paint over it. And in the original photo that you'll see, it's also pretty underwhelming. Just yellow paint on the skull dripping down. But I ended up just doing a lot of post on it and making the yellow look more gold, adding some texture to it. And so that again is just another example of a process that I had a vision of, and it worked out successfully in the end. In August of last year, I released a song called Nosebleeds, and it's probably my most important release to date. Just to talk about the meaning behind it, in the fall time, I get a lot of nosebleeds. I think it might be the difference from camp weather to, I don't know, Coquitlam, Vancouver weather. But also in the fall time, I associate that with like a lot of anxiety and fear, because like thinking about going back to school, and specifically when I graduated, whether I wanted to go to school or not, and just being out in the world, and that whole anxiety and fear of, I don't know, going into the real world after high school. And my nosebleeds were like an outward expression of that anxiety. So the nosebleeds represent the fear of growing up, basically.
However long I need to make all of the songs that we create to earn a place amongst the greats. I hope it's worth the words I pray. I know it's worth the stress I face, whether I do or don't get paid.
The whole song is just me talking about what I want to pursue, whether what I'm pursuing is the right thing for me, being scared of chasing your dreams and everything. So at the end of it, like now I've decided that I want to go for like everything that I'm passionate about. I want that to be my life. And so Nosebleeds is just the story of that acceptance of pursuing all my dreams, and also like the struggle in deciding whether I want to or not.
dreams. Moving and cabin that south, pave a route with my team. Cashed out all of my doubts that I count endlessly while they're passed out on the couch. I vouch I never sleep in